Stanley's history says the popes filled the place of the vacant emperor at Rome, inheriting their power, prestige, titles from paganism. Constantine left all to the Bishop of Rome, which is not true, but nevertheless, the papacy is about but the ghost of the deceased Roman Empire sitting crowned upon its grave. So we have an emperor. He even has the title. He even has the title Pontifex Maximus, which belonged to the Roman emperor. So in effect, the Pope is the emperor of Rome today. Has the church persecuted? Western Watchman, Catholic Source? Yes, it doesn't deny that it has persecuted, that it has used the severest penalties, even death, and had the state execute these penalties. So 1798, the papacy gets a mortal wound, receives a mortal wound. He is killed with a sword as he has killed with a sword before that. And now the prophet looks around. We have a date, 1798.
And I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth, and he had two horns like a lamb, and he spake as a dragon.
Now if sea represents peoples, multitudes, nations, tongues, then what must earth represent? A place where you do not have a multitude of peoples and nations and tongues. And I saw another beast, another political entity, coming up out of an area on the planet where there are not peoples and multitudes and nations. So it cannot be Europe, it cannot be Asia, it cannot be those Middle Eastern countries. Here comes another political entity. And it had two horns like a lamb, so it has lamb-like principles, but it'll speak like a dragon. That's interesting. Revelation 13:11. Now, who's this power? Well, let's go to the early reformers. These people were magnificent. I have so much respect for these early reformers. John Wesley, in his notes on Revelation 13, written in 1754, says, "The two-horned beast, he is not yet come, though he cannot be far off. For he is to appear at the end of the 42 months of the first beast." Now the reformers all clearly said, Rome is the Antichrist. They were watching it. And now they say, well, this other beast can't be far off. The question is, which power arises at exactly at this time in an area where there are no great multitudes of nations? There's only one that qualifies, and that would be the United States. Now, many, many years ago, these images were already interpreted as such, although the United States was a relatively insignificant power. Let's have a look at the rise of the United States and see if it fits. The Declaration of Independence was in 1776. The independence was acknowledged by the nations of the world in 1783. In 1787, a Constitution of the United States was framed. 1791, the Bill of Rights was added. And in 1798, the very year that Rome receives a mortal wound, France, the mightiest power in Europe at that time, recognizes the independence of the United States. So the same nation that gives the papacy a mortal wound, in the same year recognizes the United States. So it receives a mortal wound. He looked, the prophet, and he saw another beast arise.
America was founded as a Christian nation, but it was also founded as an occult nation. And there have always been two parallel forces here in America. One the Christian, one the occult, dating back into the 1600s. And until you understand that, you can't understand anything going on in the world today.
From the very beginning, those who were trying to establish the nation of America and formulate the laws that would govern her people were caught between two agendas. The one agenda had lamb-like qualities that sought to avoid repeating the oppressive history of a Europe ruled by papal religio-political authority. The other agenda, although it outwardly preached liberation, was striving to set up an occult-inspired order that would finally lead all nations back to Rome. In Rome, all the mystery religions, from ancient Babylon and Egypt to the various other pagan cultures whose spiritual roots went back to the Tower of Babel, found their fulfillment. In her and under her supervision, and only under these circumstances, would man be able to experience 1,000 years of peace, the fulfillment of the Aquarian dream and its new Atlantean society. Rome fought hard to destroy the lamb-like attributes of the American Constitution. Through her secret army, the Jesuits, and the various other sinister organizations she controlled, she infiltrated American society and government, and where necessary fomented discord, controversy, and division.
And he exerciseth all the power of the first beast before him, and causeth the earth and them which dwell therein to worship the first beast, whose deadly wound was healed. So we see that this second beast, which is America, the USA, causes all of the earth and them which dwell therein to worship the first beast, which we know is interpreted as Rome, whose deadly wound was healed. So Rome's wound was healed in 1929 by the Lateran Treaty, which established Rome as an independent sovereign state once again. And we know that after this, that America would cause the world to worship this entity, which is known as the Roman Catholic Church, or the Vatican, or the Papal State. And he doeth great wonders, so that he maketh fire come down from heaven on the earth in the sight of men.
So after 1929, was there a time when America caused fire to come down from heaven on the earth in the sight of men? The Bohemian Grove in Northern California is particularly famous for a Manhattan Project meeting that took place there in September 1942, which subsequently led to the atomic bomb. During the final stages of World War II in 1945, the United States conducted 2 atomic bombings against Japan in the cities of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Now, doesn't this appear to be fire from heaven? This happened in 1945, which is after 1929, when the wound was healed in Rome. And America fulfills this prophecy by making fire come down from heaven on the earth in the sight of men.
And deceiveth them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles which he had power to do in the sight of the beast, saying to them that dwell on the earth that they should make an image to the beast, which had the wound by a sword, and did live. And he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak, and cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed.
Now, did America do this after 1929? John Logie Baird was an engineer and inventor of the world's first working television system, also the world's first fully electronic color television broadcast in America. The television is definitely worshipped today, and when powered, it is always speaking. It is telling a vision, or in other words, speaking an image. This is the speaking image, which causes the world to accept Catholic principles and Catholic ideas and glorifies the Roman Catholic Church. The Bible says that whoever would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. Now, obviously, this has not happened yet, but it is coming very soon, maybe in the form of something else like a holographic image, or who knows, we will definitely be seeing